This is coming across as the latest development with the United States Secretary of State. Antony Blinken has said that there has been rising attacks on people and places of worship in India. Not only this, he also vowed that America will continue to stand up for religious freedom around the world. He even went on to highlight how people from the minority communities and women are being targeted in other Asian countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan and China. And beyond these countries, the report documents how religious freedom and rights of religious minorities are under threats in communities around the world, including India.
Americans have believed, and I quote, that nations are stronger and the lives of their people richer when citizens have the freedom to choose, proclaim, and exercise their religious identity. Indeed, religious freedom is the first freedom enshrined in our Constitution's Bill of Rights. It's been recognized by nations around the world as a human right, including in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Respect for religious freedom isn't only one of the deepest held values and a fundamental right, it's also, from my perspective, a vital foreign policy priority. In many parts of the world, governments are failing to respect their citizens' basic rights. The report documents how religious freedom and the rights of religious minorities are under threat in communities around the world. For example, in India, the world's largest democracy and home to a great diversity of faiths, we've seen rising attacks on people and places of worship.
Well, this is coming at a time when earlier India had also unilaterally rejected the US report on global religious freedom that was mandated by the Congress and the State Department in its voluminous report that gave its assessment on the status of religious freedom in almost many of those countries and territories of the world. Going across to Srinjoy right now. Srinjoy, what exactly is the locus standi of the United States in its unsolicited advice to India when it comes to religious minorities, what they have been calling it as persecution taking place?
Well, first of all, this is an internal matter of India. So America or any other country, I mean, the United States may be a very good friend of India, but nevertheless, no country, including the United States, and India has a lot of respect for the United States, has no right to interfere in what is an internal issue with India. America fortunately recognizes the Indian Constitution has all the requisite points, right to freedom, right to freedom, and all those issues are all there, Article 14, right to equality and so on. Now the important point to note is that this is something the State Department has produced. Now why should the State Department have things to say about what is happening in India? To talk about India's bilateral issues with America or other countries or whatever. But at this point, India will react very strongly to this. And the point that India will make is that this has nothing to do with the United States. We are very happy that they are good friends. But this is an internal issue. Absolutely. And America has no right to interfere in India's internal issues.
All right, Srinjoy, stay on with us. Maruf Raza is also with us on the broadcast. Maruf, this has been done again by the United States in its religious report that it comes out with the State Department, because at one point it had pointed out that there were mob attacks that were rising in India. Today they go on to say that the minorities are being persecuted.
You see, the American government, particularly this government, is committed to certain issues because of their election manifesto and promises made, including issues related with human rights, issues related with freedom, and the protection of minorities. So this should not come as a surprise to the Indian government that America has made these observations. We can counter it vigorously. That's the job of the Foreign Office. At the same time, we should not take for granted the fact that because America has continued to promise strong strategic ties with India, they will overlook issues that they need to address to keep their domestic constituencies happy. So to that extent, this is not the first, and this won't be the last such comment coming from the U.S. State Department. However, there are indications that the State Department observations on a variety of issues, and their studies are not exactly objective and accurate. For example, recently the State Department held a conference for democracies.
Right, sir.
And in that they invited Pakistan, but they ignored Bangladesh.
Right, sir.
Because
but this time around in the report, they are actually drawing comparisons of India with China and Pakistan and even Afghanistan there, where India is proud of its secular credentials, being the status of the largest democracy, and the pluralistic society remains to be seen. An official word coming in from the Indian government. Maruf and Srinjoy, thanks very much for joining in. We head into a short break. You're watching the Morning News Up.